Hey, listen, I am Rachel, the Destined One. So, listen, I wanted to talk to you guys today. As I was in the shower, you know how most of us chosen ones in the shower, a lot of times is where we get our downloads, where we get things that we're going to do next, where we get a lot of ideas. But as I was in the shower, God was speaking to me about a higher calling. And when I got out of the shower, I got on YouTube. I was looking up some stuff, but I saw Megan Thee Stallion, right? And so as I was watching the clip that Megan Thee Stallion made, she was talking about how all the people that she had to leave and separate from wanted to pull her back to them because they felt like, well, what did I do to you? Well, why are you mad at me? Well, why we don't have relationship anymore? Why don't we hang out anymore? Why come I can't get through to you? Why have you blocked me from you? So this is the thing I need you guys to hear today. When you have a higher calling, when you have been chosen to do something, when God has chosen you to do something, a lot of times your life is going to break down right before your very eyes. Everybody that you imagine will be in your reality for the rest of your life is not going to be there. And a lot of people are going to be mad at you. They're going to think you're mad at them. They're going to think that you think that you're better than them. But just like Megan Thee Stallion said, she said, I don't have an issue with them. I love them. But I was called to go in a different direction. I was called to grow. I was called to change. I was called to where my life will never be the same, where my life will be so amazing and so beautiful. And so one thing that you have to understand, when you have a higher calling, everybody's not going to understand. And Megan said, and why is it every time when I get to a certain point, people want to pull me back to them? They want to pull me back to my old life. They want to pull me back to my old reality. But the thing about having a calling like she has, or what she's supposed to be just like she is, she's so famous. And so that type of calling will cause you to drop everything and everybody. And when you drop everything and everybody, you're not dropping them because you don't love them. You're not dropping them because you don't care about them. You're dropping them because if you understand spiritual contracts and soul contracts, there comes a certain time in your life, in your spiritual contract, because we're all here on the spiritual contract, in your spiritual contract, that people have got to disappear. And a lot of you guys, if you're listening to me, there's so many people that have disappeared from your reality. Be okay with it. Be okay with it. Be okay with it. Be okay with detaching from any and everyone, because you have a higher calling. And when you're called to a great level of fame, a great level of authority, a great level of anointing, when you're called to those places, a lot of people are going to disappear from your reality. But they're not going to understand that you don't have issues with them. You don't hate them. You don't want anything bad to happen to them. They have to understand that you had to grow, so you had to let go, and you had to go to where your heart and your soul, and you had to walk into your destiny. And that's one thing, as I was watching her, all she was doing was explaining my life. I know I didn't understand what was going on when God called me. I still don't understand sometimes how it's really going to be. But I know that I have a higher calling over my life. God chose me to do something very great and very mighty. And one thing you're going to have to understand, when you have a higher calling over your life, stop waiting for people to believe in the thing that God already gave you. Stop waiting for the likes. Stop waiting for the follow. Stop waiting for the validation. You don't need validation, because God told you who you are and that you have a higher calling before the foundation of the earth. A lot of us are going through these great spiritual awakenings. The whole world is going through some type of awakening. And we're all going through it at different levels. But some of us are here that we have a calling so high we can't fathom it ourselves. We can't understand it ourselves. We can't even believe it sometime ourselves. But when I tell you, when you have a higher calling, a lot of times you have prophetic gifts and God will show you. God will show you where you're going. And you won't even know how it's really going to be. You would just know what God showed you. And you would just know in that dream, in that crowning ceremony, and whatever it was that God showed you, in the way that people tell you things and come up to you and say things that don't even know you. You don't even understand how it's going to be, because you are called to a higher place. And when you're called to a higher place, your different level of education will change. The way that you think, the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the people that you surround yourself with is going to change, because you are called to grow. A lot of us were in a place where we were just existing. But now, since you have been awakened, since you have been told that you're chosen, and from talking to you, you know that you have a higher calling. God is calling a lot of us on these cameras. A lot of us on these cameras to speak, because we have the authority from God. We have the anointing from God. And we were chosen before we even got here. We sat with God and say, okay, I'm going to take that hard contract on. I'm going to take those hard battles. I'm going to go through it where I lose all my friends. I'm going to go through it where I have to leave my family for a time. I'm going to go through it where everybody hates me and abandons me. This is what happens when you have a higher calling. And when you have a higher calling, the people that knew you are not going to like you, because they're going to be like, why her or why him and not me? And not me. And so as I sit here, I know I have a higher calling. As I sit here, even though I don't have all the likes, I don't have all the followers, I don't have all the support. I don't need that. I don't need that. It'll come when it's supposed to. And you know why it'll come when it's supposed to? Because God already told me. God already showed me that it's going to happen. And it is happening now. But you can't get caught up on it, because when you're chosen, when you're called, when you're appointed or anointed for whatever it is that God has chosen you and anointed or appointed you for, you have to stay focused on helping people, on being who you were chosen to be, and don't get wrapped up in the lights and the applause and people doing, hyping you up. When you're here on a divine journey, that stuff don't even matter. You're just supposed to be doing your work, and you keep it moving. So today I wanted to tell you that you have a higher calling, that you're here on a higher calling. And one lady got upset with me when I told her, listen, you're going through an awakening. You have a calling, and your life is not going to look the same. And she stopped talking to me because she didn't even understand what she was about to walk into. But one day she's going to come back and be like, oh, I understand what you were saying. Because a lot of times people get afraid when you tell them stuff like that, and you see, because you're a seer, you see what's about to happen in their life, and they're afraid to leave their friends. They're afraid to leave their family. Sometimes everything in your life is going to go away because you have a higher calling. And you're going to be like, what's happening in my life? Why do I have to leave my friends? Why are my friends turning on me? Why did my such and such break up with me? Why did this happen, or why did that happen? It's because you are called to a higher place that you did not expect to go to. And then it's because a lot of people see you. They see that you have that higher calling. They see that you have that anointing of God. They see that the favor of God is upon you. They see it. And a lot of them don't like it. And so when you're going to the places that you're going, I have a friend, I talked to her. She said, Rachel, this walk is a lonely walk. This is a lonely walk. This is a very lonely walk, because you do have a higher calling. And sometimes the higher calling will change your whole, most of the times the higher calling will change your whole life. Most of the times being anointed by God will change your whole life. Most of the times being anointed by God will change your whole family. It's going to change your whole family. It's going to change your life. But you have a higher calling. And in that higher calling, the walk is lonely. The walk is lonely, but it's worth it. It's worth it because when you're a light worker, when you're a seer, when you're one of the ones that God said, okay, you're chosen, now get up. It's time for you to work. This is a difficult walk. This is a difficult walk. But know the things that God said to you are real. They are very real. Know that you will see them. But the thing about it is you have to trust. 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 Because what's about to happen in your life, you already know right now you'll never be the same. You're not the same right now. You're not the same right now. Because who you were called and chosen to be. You're not the same. So listen, if you're listening to my voice, you have a higher calling. You're being called higher. You are chosen before the foundation of the earth. This is not religion. It's not going to look like religion. You're not going to have to walk and act a certain way. You just be who God has anointed for you to be. You have a higher calling. You have a higher calling.